What's up, everybody? My name is Nemo. Welcome back to the garage. Today I am super excited. We're actually going to be getting started on the Chrysler Crossfire build. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. If you're not sure what this build is about, if you want a little bit more information, you've got questions about what we're doing, check out the last video that I posted. I explained everything, introducing the build, what the car is, where it came from, all that good stuff. So make sure you check that video out, but we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is get a bigger garage. Just kidding. We need to go ahead and get that hood off of there. As you can see, the only light that I have in the garage is up there, and it makes it really hard to see what I'm doing up here. So before we start working on any of this stuff in the front end, I want to get this hood taken off. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Looks like maybe a 10 mil bolt. I think that's what I've got on the drill. Let's see if it fits. Perfect. You gotta loosen these up. Those. And I'll go ahead and get that other side and see if we can get this strut disconnected. I'll be right back with you. Alright, look at that. We've got the hood taken off. That took a little bit of effort to do by myself, but it's off. And as you can see now, we have way better lighting over here in the engine bay, so we can get to work. Get this out of the way. I had to take the gas cylinder off of there. But luckily what made it easy is these little brackets here have a middle bolt that you can leave partially in, and the hood can still lift off, but it'll hold the hood in place while you're moving it. So I went ahead and took the other two bolts out, left this one in, removed the gas cylinder, closed the hood down, and then just picked the whole thing up off of that. We're gonna have to do a little bit of work here. I scratched the paint, that's on me. So whatever, there. But while I was doing that, I was reminded of something that I was gonna mention in the first video, the introduction, that I did not mention, and that is that there is one other thing I wanna get done to this car, which is a little bit of body work. Let me go ahead and show you this here. So it's a little bit hard to see because it's hidden behind the bumper now, or not the bumper, the grill. What we're looking at is the bumper. I don't want to move it too much. But as you can see down here on the bottom, there's like a screw coming out. The bumper's all cracked and beat up. On this side, this grill piece is a different color from this grill piece. This is like a gloss black, and this is just like faded black plastic. And then we've got some damage all in here, and then you can't really see it too well. Kind of can. There's a crack in there. So I don't know too much about repairing that kind of stuff, but that's something else we're going to try to get done, is repairing that front bumper. But for now, let's go ahead and get started on the front of the car. So far, I think I've figured out that I'm just really terrible at trying to hold the camera and film what I'm doing all at the same time. So I think what I'm going to do, at least for this video, is a bunch of time lapses, and I'll jump in here and there unless you guys know what's going on. But what I'm going to go ahead and get tackled is, if I can get the coolant drained out of the radiator, so we can go ahead and start looking at taking the radiator off, getting rid of these lines. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and I will be back with you guys as soon as I've done that. Alright, so I got the coolant drained. Made a little bit of a mess doing it, but I got it done. So let me go ahead and show you what we got going on down. So you can kind of see down there, I got the bucket going. I had to, I couldn't find a drain bolt at all, so I went ahead and just disconnected this main line right here. I opened up the cap on there to help the airflow. I've just been squeezing this line to try to promote any more fluid getting out. You see it works a little bit to kind of coax the fluid out of there a little bit. Still draining down here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and probably let this drain for a bit longer. And then once I'm feeling certain that I've got most of the coolant out, I'm going to go ahead and probably start working on getting some of these lines disconnected. Getting like this breather line popped off. Might even be able to get this one popped off now. There's actually a clip down there I got to get to, so I'll probably work on getting some of these lines popped off, some of these clips and wires, see if I can get the fan pulled off and start working out how exactly to take the radiator off. I've also got to do a little bit of research on this. I'm not super familiar with this car. I'm still learning things as I go, and I discovered, let's see if you can see it in here. So this is the radiator, but I'm not entirely sure what this is. It's another radiator type thing, so I don't know if that's an intercooler or what. I don't know if this thing has two intercoolers, because I know the main intercooler is actually beneath the supercharger, like an inline intercooler. But there's definitely some sort of other cooler of some sort here. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on that and try to figure out what that cooler is for, what it does. And that'll kind of help with figuring out potential upgrades for the car. Just figuring out what all the parts are, what they have, what they do. And once I've got a good idea of what the stock setup is here, then I'll have a much better idea of which parts I can try to replace and upgrade that are going to help the car out in the long run, so I can work on maybe adding some more power in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to let this drain for a little while, and then we'll go ahead and start tearing apart the top of the radiator. I'll get back with you guys then. Alright everybody, I think that I have got it drained enough to go ahead and start working on some of the other stuff here, getting some of these lines disconnected, so we're going to go ahead and get to work on that. I think that I'm going to start with just the top, start at the top and work my way down. I'm going to go ahead and work on, I guess it's not done raining. I guess this helps a little bit. As I work, it's definitely going to drain more. I'm probably going to make a mess. So let's do this. This is pretty much already saturated, but just for the sake of trying to clean up any mess, we'll put that down there. That way it tries to catch any additional spillage we have. Grab the pliers and we will get started here. I hate these clips. Whoever designed, did I break it? No, I didn't. That's good. Whoever designed these hose clamps is a terrible person. I don't like them. Anybody that's ever worked on cars probably agrees with me that these little pinch clips are the worst. Punched the engine. You've never really worked on a car until you've punched the engine. Now, screwdriver. There it is. Used it to take off the hose down there. So, oops, that's not the right screwdriver. Alrighty. Where did I put it? Oh, it's right there on the floor. Alright. I guess I'm just blind. So, let's get in here. Loosen up this one. Apologize for the crappy workmanship here. Trying to film with one hand, work with the other is definitely new to me. Ooh, she's on there. She's on there tight. Let me stick the phone there. Oh, there we go. There's one hose off. I wonder if we still connected on. looks like we've got a plug down here on the bottom. Let me see if I can unplug this at all. You can kind of see that in the camera. There's a little tiny plug down here, and it is on here. Not even sure what that is entirely. But I don't just want to cut it. That does not want to come off of there. I'll worry about that later. Let's go ahead and grab the pliers. See if we can get this clamp off. Switch hands because I can't use pliers left-handed. Or right-handed apparently. Yeah, this is hard to do with one hand. Alright. Filming and trying to take off hose clamps is just not working, so I'm going to go ahead and set up another time lapse, and I'm just going to start tearing apart all of these coolant lines up top and see if we can start removing some pieces off this car. Alright guys, moment of truth, it's been a while now. That time lapse was probably fairly short, but it's actually been a couple hours of work. Whew, it has been difficult tearing this thing apart. Let me show you what I've done real so far. So I stripped off the intakes, we got the drive belt off, the radiator is out, We've disconnected a bunch of stuff. The fuel rail has been removed. So all this pile of stuff here is what's come off. Crazy thing. Let's see if I can pull it out of here real quick without making a giant mess. So the vehicles that I probably the most work on in my life has been pickup trucks. And you'd think like a pickup truck with a V8 engine that probably has one of the bigger serpentine belts that you'd see on a car. But good Lord. Check. Ready? I can't even get it all in one shot. Starting up there. All the way down. This thing is absolutely huge. Look at the size of that belt. Ugh. Yeah, that was a bit of a pain to take off. But I think the most difficult thing, probably the one part you saw me working on the most in that time lapse, was this coolant hose with this little bracket here, these little pinch brackets. I hate these with a passion. These are the worst brackets on the planet. This was connected right there, right here on this line here. It was hard to get in there, and this dang bracket would just not come off. So I'm going to replace this hose and this bracket all together. It comes time to put a new engine in here, because that was an absolute pain. But that is all done, and now it is the moment of truth. I'm going to go ahead and set up the camera, not in a time lapse, and I'm going to attempt to lift the supercharger off of the car and set it off on the side right here where I've got these towels. So let's see if we can get the camera set up here. That should be a pretty good shot. My back's going to be blocking most of it. I apologize. Footing place is difficult trying to figure out how I want to stand, because this thing is not like there. Oh yeah, coolant all over my boot. I thought it was the moment of truth, but I lied. I still have some stuff in the way. Let's see if I can get this out of here. That. Oh, it is heavy. Oh, it is heavy. Real heavy. Alright. Alright, hold on. Let's go back. Drop it down more or less. Alright. Well, I thought that was a moment of truth, but it was not. Let me show you. I forgot about this plug here and this plug here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get those two pulled off and then see if I can get the supercharger moved. There's a lot of coolant inside the intercooler in there, so I was pouring out of these lines here. It was going into the bucket, but also quite a bit got on the floor down there and all over my boots. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put the camera up, try to get those two unplugged, make sure there's nothing else connected to this thing. There might be a vacuum line or two, I don't know. I'm going to try to get everything else disconnected, every last little piece unplugged, disconnected, and then we'll give that a shot one more time. All right, here we go. This was caught up on there. I got that disconnected. And I got both of these plugs disconnected down here. So we are going to go ahead and give this one more try and try to get the supercharger pulled off. Camera set up. Stop. This is OSHA approved, by the way, I promise. miscellaneous vacuum line. Stay. Good God. Oh boy. There. Can't even tell you how heavy that thing is. I'm gonna have to get a scale and weigh the supercharger. It is not light. Okay. There she is. That is my supercharger. I'm gonna try to show you something here. I don't know if there's any left. All the moving around I've done. Set the camera down for a sec. Just this here. What are we caught on? Oh. I am still plugged in apparently. Let me get over here and try to unplug this real quick. You know you want to unplug, just unplug. Ah, there we go. Still have an ejector plugged in. Go ahead, readjust. Alright, so no matter how I adjust this, it's not going to show it. So what I was trying to do is, one of the things I was noticing, you can kind of tell a little bit right in here. Yeah. That is oil. This is my intake. You don't want oil right here. That is no good. So this is what we're talking about. This big giant behemoth of a piece down here, this big block, this is the intercooler that's been causing all of the problems. But in taking this apart, I was able to figure out one of the issues I had. I mentioned this earlier, is I have this piece down here that's not part of the radiator. I was trying to figure out what it is. This is the other part of the intercooler. So I'm not good at these terms because this is the first boosted car I've ever dealt with. But I believe that, I can't speak English here. I believe that that piece is the heat exchanger, and that is the intercooler on the bottom of this supercharger. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be. I'm kind of an idiot sometimes, but I believe that that's what that is, that this is the intercooler, and then that down there on the bottom is the heat exchanger. But that gives me a good idea of what I need to do to upgrade the cooling on this car so that we can do some sort of power modifications in the future. Everybody I was talking to on the forums, they were saying, before you try to increase the horsepower too much, make sure your cooling situation is sorted out. Get a heat exchanger. You know, there's a couple of little mods they were talking about, but the main thing was the heat exchanger. That's the easiest way to do it, is just get a good heat exchanger. And so I think what I need to do is try to track down a better heat exchanger than the stock one I have down there. And then I'm already getting a better intercooler, because this is the part that failed on the car. This is the reason the car doesn't run right now, is because this was blasting coolant and oil and everything else straight into the intakes, causing some serious problems. Kind of buggered up that gasket there and that gasket there, but who cares about all of that? We're making progress now. I've got a bunch more wires disconnected, a bunch of hoses disconnected, the radiator is out, the supercharger is off of the car. So I think we made some pretty serious progress today. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video short there. Not really short, it's probably a long video by now. I've been working for several hours. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video there. We got a hell of a lot of work done. I am happy with everything that we've managed to accomplish thus far. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there. Next time we will probably go ahead and start working on just disconnecting all the rest of the electrical lines, hoses, vacuum lines, everything. Try to clean up all of this engine bay. Try to get that supercharger moved off to workbench or a table or something somewhere. But next episode, probably going to be, I'll probably film it sometime this weekend. Is when the next time I'll have time. We'll go ahead and start tearing apart all the rest of the electrical and the hoses in the engine bay. And then hopefully, if that goes smoothly and quickly, which I mean, just working on cars, so probably not, but if we can manage to make that go quickly and smoothly, then what we'll go ahead and do is we'll move to the bottom of the car and start working on disconnecting the exhaust, the transmission, pulling the starter, all that good stuff. But for now, I think we accomplished a lot. So if you guys like this video, you enjoy what you're watching, you want to see more of this content, go ahead and drop a like on the video. That would really help me out. And go ahead and subscribe if you want to see the rest of this project as I keep going on it. And until next time, I will see you guys later.